For a Wattpad movie, it's kind of a fun time. That's it. That's my intro. Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about Sidelined, the QB and Me, the latest movie adaptation of a Wattpad novel. Now, whenever I talk about Wattpad, a lot of people immediately think of fan fiction because that is what they personally consumed on Wattpad. However, Wattpad has always had original fiction, and quite a lot of current Gen Z and millennial authors did get their start writing original fiction on there. So just because something was adapted from a Wattpad or they took it off and like republished it and things like that does not automatically mean that it was fan fiction. Fun fact, the reason I really wanted to talk about this movie, even though it wasn't bad, is because I was there when it was fully announced, truly, that Noah Beck was going to be starring in this movie. Noah Beck is a TikToker, was part of he was in the Sway House, right? He wasn't in the Hype House? Yeah, he was in the Sway House. I was there at Wattcon in 2022 when they actually played a video of him saying hi to everyone and how excited he was to be playing Drayton in the QB Badboy and Me, because that was the initial title of this book. But really quick, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. Have you ever wanted to start a website, or maybe revamp your website, or start a business, or, tweak your business, give it a little facelift, if you will? Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform to help you get started and stand out and succeed online. Squarespace has a ton of templates to choose from, and with their visual design tools and design intelligence, you can customize any part of the site to fit your needs. Whether you have an online shop or you want to get started selling content, they make it super easy to sell online courses, videos, and memberships, and they make it super easy to manage all in one place with Squarespace payments. Go to squarespace.com to get started with a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Swell Entertainment to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I was there during a panel that Tay did with a bunch of other authors that were having their books turned into movies via Wattpad. At the time, this was around the same time that Wattpad and Webtoons had just kind of merged, and they were making a production company based off that. And so this was a movie that, unlike After, which was a book that was published on Wattpad and then turned into a book that then became the After franchise and all of that, this book was published via Wattpad. This was actually the first in a lineup of books, 6 books to be exact, when Wattpad announced they were going to start publishing under Wattpad Books in a traditionally published capacity. But yes, Wattcon 2022, also known as the event that I think you can truly say that I nuked, okay. I saw Tay speak about this. It was also one of those panels that I got a bad taste in my mouth. Just the way that some of these authors were talking, and the authors in particular, I want to make it abundantly clear, did not say anything wrong. You can go back and watch that video, but there was just a lot of red flags that I picked up throughout this whole event, the whole convention itself. This was one of those times where I found it was interesting where all of these authors in particular, that they had all gone to the set like one day or so, like they had only gone like to one day of set at this point in time. And this movie was, I believe, just starting to be filmed or was about to be filmed. But some of the other authors mentioned like, oh yeah, when we went, and then they were like releasing media from it. And I just thought that was a very odd thing that I took. It's like, okay, but this is their work. Something that I didn't like about Sidelined itself, which, side note, because someone on TikTok said, I don't like the bad boy erasure for Bad Boy Media. I assume it didn't test well, and that's why they did. Sidelined, the QB and Me is definitely a more quirky story. I assume the word bad boy was taken out of the title because it didn't test well, but I thought it was interesting to talk about this because when I was watching Tay speak, I can't remember if it was on the movie panel or if it was the writerpreneurs panel. I don't remember if she was on that one off the top of my head, but she had talked about specifically writing to market, and the reason she wrote the QB Badboy and Me was because she saw that a lot of books that were ending up on the front page of Wattpad that were doing really well were bad boy stories. And so this was her response to that. And she literally wrote this book to the market of Wattpad before there was even really a writer's market on Wattpad. According to the Wattpad website, which, side note, Wattpad is not exempt from the, hey, we're going to take the movie poster and stick it on the cover of the book. 31 million reads, 852,000 votes, 64 parts, 16 hours of read time. Adolescence, bad boy, cheerleader, Colorado. Those are some of the tags. Dallas Bryant is focused on her future, but whenever she's around Drayton Leahy, the bad boy quarterback, her mind just keeps falling back to the present. Dallas Bryant is a no-nonsense cheerleader with her sights set on a dance scholarship to Cal Arts. Drayton Leahy is a bad boy quarterback from football royalty who's completely wrong for her. At least that's what she tells herself. Sparks fly in all directions when Dallas and Dre are around each other, but the longer she tells herself that she doesn't need him, the quicker she realizes it might be time to forget about what she needs and go after what she wants. So let's talk about Sidelined. Yes, it is for free on Tubi. If you just make an account on Tubi, you can go and watch it for free with ads. I will say that I do think this movie is not one that is suitable for ads. Very annoying. There's like no good direct pauses. There's like one where they time it well, but so many of the ads are incredibly annoying to the point where I was like, what if I just turn this movie off and don't make a video? But I was going to make a video, so I'm committed. But we are introduced to Dallas and her brother, who is her guardian, and they are going straight to school. Now, I was misunderstanding at the start of these things because it seemed to be like a little bit of a miscommunication all around, where it almost sounds like they kind of set it up like she had just moved here. It seemed to be the case. It seems like she's always been here. She's always been at this school, or at least in this town, and she's just trying new things. You see, Dallas really wants to get into Cal Arts. She's a dancer. She loves dancing. She wants to dance like her mother did. She is joining cheerleading with her friend Becca, who's the cheer captain, because Cal Arts wants her to have extracurriculars to get in. But also, apparently, they are so poor that she can't afford to go and audition at Cal Arts in person, and it's like a whole thing that she's going to be sending a video audition in, and that's harder to get in with because you're not connecting. So I believe they're still in Colorado. And she's just got her head in the clouds. She loves dancing. She wants to dance. She seems to barely care about school. Very little actual schooling happens their senior year, okay, in this movie, I will say that. And then we have Drayton. Drayton is played by Noah Beck. This is his first acting role, and he does surprisingly well. I will give Noah this. There's not a lot that I will take away from Noah in this movie. I won't take away from the actress that plays Dallas either, but there are some interesting acting choices throughout this movie that I do find fascinating. But Noah actually does fairly well with what he's given. I'm actually genuinely impressed. He's our quarterback. He doesn't care. He's setting expectations low. He has tattoos and a big hickey on his neck, and that's how you know he's a bad boy. A bad boy. Just a fat hickey. It's almost diabolical how obvious it is. It's kind of funny. But he's sitting next to Dallas that first day, and Dallas gets called on by a teacher, and she's like trying to talk about Romeo and Juliet. And at one point, she's like, I just think it's ridiculous how it all ends with, because someone she just met, and like she's going to throw it away for like a 3-day relationship. And Drayton is like, maybe they just wanted to have a little bit of fun. Like maybe it was worth the fun night or something like that. And she goes to her friend and she's like, they died. Frankly, a mood and a very weird time to use Romeo and Juliet as a chance for innuendo on Drayton's part. Then it goes to practice, and this is the first time that, Dallas is doing cheer practice, and they're doing their cheers or whatever. And of course, Drayton's the QB Badboy and Me, so of course he's the quarterback. It's always the quarterback. Okay, in these things. He's throwing a ball to his friend, but he misses because his friend is nowhere near her, and Dallas is the one that catches the ball and then throws it back. And fun fact, her brother, who dropped her off at school, her guardian, also the coach. This becomes so little of a problem and obstacle for them being together, it's almost funny. I never read the book, so I don't know if this is the same thing in the book, but this would have been the most realistic, overprotective big brother moment, especially when you are the coach of the football players, the new coach, and I don't think I know any coaches that don't know what football players are capable of that would be cool with them dating their little sister. Just saying. Especially one that you are the guardian of. But he throws the ball to Cheer, as he calls her, and she throws it back and she says, that's not my name, quarterback. Then he's like, oh, who is that? Like, she's in my class. The Dobder brother starts talking about Dallas's friend Becca, who he ends up dating, by the way. He's like, no, the other one. It's like, oh yeah, that's the new coach's sister, or whatever. He's like, oh, that explains the canon, like, because she threw a very good spiral. He then, after practice, goes to apologize to her because he's like, oh, my aim is normally very good. And then his friend goes, hey, go long to Drayton, and he runs backwards trying to catch the ball, except he misses, and he falls into her side mirror and breaks off the side mirror. And I was like, I think a broken window would have made more sense in this instance. Apparently in the book, it's his motorcycle, because of course he is a motorcycle, and I think that would have fit more, but I don't think they wanted to risk the cost of hitting a motorcycle into a car like this. So they were like, let's just break off a side mirror. That's quick and easy. We can do that 80 times, I'm assuming. They're like, she can't afford to fix all this stuff. She also works at her dance studio. So she goes from here to her dance studio, does her old dancing thing. And side note, I know there are ways to make dancing look cool on camera. I don't think we've fully gotten there yet in the modern day. In movies like Step It Up and all of that, like dancing looks can look really cool, but also at times looks really goofy. And I think this is one of those movies where, because she's doing mostly contemporary dance and such, it just looks pretty goofy on camera. Her audition sequence, fascinating to me. I was like, this is very long, and I don't think it should be this long, because there's a lot of other things they speed through, okay, that I just think I'm like, interesting choices were made overall with the execution of this movie. But she's cleaning up the floor afterwards, and her dance teacher openly tells her, after a very sweet heart-to-heart, that she is not ready to audition for Cal Arts. There was a million and one ways her teacher could have said this, and this was not one of them. So she's upset. But she goes home, and then Drayton pulls up with money to fix her side mirror. You know, movie logic. Why does he know where she lives? And he's very clearly into her from the jump. And she's just kind of like, all right, okay, bye. Sure, whatever, okay. Next day, because Becca was really into his brother. What's his name? I don't remember his name. Oh, I'm sorry. Her name is Gabby. Why haven't I been calling her Becca? Her name is Gabby. Jeez. Gabby and Josh. Wow, so I got one name wrong, and then I just forgot his name entirely. So it's lunchtime. Dallas is like, do we have to sit with them? And she's like, yeah, like, let's just go sit with them. Like, you're a cheerleader now, whatever. She didn't say that, but like, it's implied. You know, Drayton is he's like just laid back the entire time. You never have an itch you can't scratch, just innuendo after innuendo after innuendo. She's like, I just do just fine by myself. And then Drayton's like, she ends up going to the party with Gabby, and Gabby and Josh immediately like hit it off. And she's like, okay, you don't need a wing woman anymore. I'm going to go. And ends up spending some time with Drayton. They start playing beer pong. Okay. And he's like, no, I've got practice tomorrow. He's like, I'll just drink water. She beats him in beer pong. And then she just starts slamming shots. She is hammered because everyone's been telling her, like, you could go on a date, you could live life, you could go to a party. And then she finally goes to a party, and she just gets slammered. She just starts walking home because Josh invites Gabby out to get dinner, and she's like, yeah, I'll take a lift, and then doesn't get a lift. She just starts walking away from the party versus getting a lift from the house. And I'm assuming they're trying to imply that she's like couldn't get a lift, like, because there was no service. But why would you then walk into the road of the mountains and think you were going to get a service there if you're not going to get service at the actual house that you're at? So it was going the wrong way. But of course, Drayton pulls up on his motorcycle, and she's like, I thought I was going to be brutally murdered. And he's like, have you lost your mind? Walking home alone at night. He brings up her parents. There's this awkward moment about her parents being gone, and then she's very drunk, and so he brings her home, but he doesn't bring her home to her home. He brings her to his home because her brother can't see her like this. And so he does this whole thing as well where she's like, I bet this was a whole ploy to get me into bed. And he just scoops her up, just picks her up, and lays her down on the chaise and gives her a blanket and is like, good night, after stripping down to his underwear, and turns off the lights. And she's like, he wakes up and doesn't think about hiding, sneaking out, not really. She just kind of starts leaving and catches Drayton getting yelled at by his dad about, going out to a party or whatever. And he's like, I wasn't even drinking, like it was just a party. I just wanted to go to a party. It's just a party, whatever. And then Drayton's mom catches her and she's like, I'm just going to go. Like, this mom is the chillest mom of all time, frankly, because she's just like, just does the disapproving, like, look. And Dallas just leaves. I'm skipping ahead a little bit because there's a lot of like just extra things in here. They have an away game. So cheerleaders, football players, all go on the same bus. And Gabby wants to sit next to Josh because these two are like fully dating now. Dallas gets up to go look for another seat. And of course, Drayton is the one with the seat open. And he's like, I saved it for you. She's like, great. So they sit down. Talking. Game goes well. This entire time as well, Tanner, Dallas's brother, is the coach and is like, you don't have to go to Waco to Drayton. I know you're like a quadruple legacy and all this stuff because his dad's really trying to get him to go to Waco. He's basically verbally committed to Waco. He's like, but you're very talented. You could have your pick of schools. Let me start like encouraging other like recruiters to come out. So this game, there's going to be like 3 or 4 other recruiters coming to this game. The game goes well. And Dallas is like, I need to focus. I need to keep my head down. I need to be focused. And Gabby's like, yeah, hey, a lot of the players that played really well tonight because we won, I probably just secured them going to college. There's something to celebrate here. From the motel, Gabby leaves to go party with Josh. Dallas goes to get chips and the machine's not working. So of course, Drayton comes up with like a trash can full of chips, gives her the chips, and she's like, partying's not my my style. And he's like, okay, you want to go do something else? And they leave the motel to go to a salsa bar, a salsa club, because he wants her to enjoy dancing. And so they go dancing and they have fun. She's trying to get him to like move his hips and loosen up, okay? And then he brings her back to the motel and they're about to kiss, okay? Except who comes around the corner? Tanner and another teacher. Do you know what's going on? We had to contact the principal. Do you know what's happening? We were worried sick about you. And in this moment, I'm thinking, did they not have their phones with them? But then also later, she's like, I should have texted you to her brother. So there's literally no reason why they didn't call them to be like, hey, where are you? It does sound like they had their phones on them. This was stupid. There was a better way to do this. Because it's like, we were worried we were looking for you. No one called them. They seemed to have their phones on them. Just stupid weird, okay? They go to the principal's office the next day. Both are suspended. He's like, we just went to a club. We didn't drink. We didn't do anything bad. We just went to a dancing club. But it's like, yeah, you went to a 21 and up bar, even if it was a dancing club, while you were on a school trip and school rules applied. It's not good. The fact that no faculty got in trouble for this, I'm shocked by. No, they both got suspended for a week. Then his dad is like, this is ridiculous. This is awful. No game time. You could have been scouted in that time, whatever. And so they stopped talking for a couple of days. Tanner and Dallas are like working on something. And she's like, you know, I'm picking up more shifts like in this time. Can you please just stop the not talking to me thing? And he's like, I wasn't mad. I was just worried and disappointed. Also, I'm sorry, was there no woman chaperone for all of the cheerleaders? Because that doesn't seem like a thing that was happening. I know the coach is her brother, but like there's still a whole team of cheerleaders here. So she picks up shifts at the dance studio and she's ignoring Drayton, and Drayton finally goes over to the dance studio to see her. And her dance teacher is like, actually, no, you can help me with something, and gets him to do like a little interpretive thing with Dallas to try and get her to loosen up, because her whole thing is that she's anticipating the next move. She's not feeling the music. She's overthinking everything because she wants to do it right. She wants to be perfect. It's the typical route I feel like they go with a lot of like dancing based storylines like this, where it's like, you're very talented, but you're not feeling the music, you know? It seems like a very cliche line when it comes to dance media. They do this whole little interpretive thing, and it is cute. This bit I did think was cute because he keeps trying to like hold her and like touch her, like actually make physical contact, and she's like turning her back to him and like still trying to do the dancing and things like that. And by the end of it, she's like, were you anticipating? No, I wasn't anticipating. Very good. And like walks away. It's like, it's just goofy, okay? He's like, how can I make it up to you? Like, I should have defended you. I'm sorry. And so cuts to him mopping the sweaty floor that she does. That's her job typically, is she's mopping the sweaty dance floor. He's like, so what do you like about the campus for Cal Arts? Like that you want to go? And she's like, I don't know. I've never been. But like, I want to go. And he's like, this is your dream school and you've never done a tour of campus? She's like, no. He's like, then let's go. She's like, what about school? And he's like, we're suspended. So tell me why they just fly to Cal Arts on his dime and like stay in a house out there. I think it's a rental or something, or it's like his family's house. I don't know. The most interesting, odd way they could have done this. Her brother is just cool with this. Hey, the boy you got suspended with? Yeah, sure. Leave the state with him. They go to Cal Arts. She's like, okay, bye. Like hugs him bye. And doesn't tour. Like we're not being shown a tour or anything. It's literally just her watching the dancers warm up. And then it cuts back to the house that they're staying in. So like we don't actually get like the whole sequence of them at the school together or anything like that. Or like him touring around himself. We later find out that he was also meeting with a coach there and like talking with recruiters there as well. But like that's a secret to her, not a secret to us. Do you think a scene here would have been good of like one of the recruiters being like, hey, you're Leahy, right? You play for blank school, you know, I think it's like Arbor Hood or something. And it's like, that would have been a good moment of him being like, yes, there are people from other schools want to see you. It's not just like you looking out. That would have been, I think, a good moment. But instead it's like, oh, look, come on. And then they're like in the jacuzzi and then they're inside and they're just like eating and snacking and it's late. And they start playing Truth or Dare because of course they start playing Truth or Dare. It's a teen movie. Coming of age movie. It's either Spin the Bottle, Truth or Dare, or 7 Minutes in Heaven. It's one of the three. Go back and forth. Okay. Talk about school, talk about stuff. And then she's like, I dare you to show me one of like the Drayton Leahy moves. And he's like, are you jealous? Like this whole back and forth. And then he's like, Truth or Dare, truth. And he's like, do you want me to kiss you? So of course they kiss, climbs on his lap, all this stuff. And then she like freaks herself out. She's like, we should go to bed. We have a flight in the morning. And like jumps and like dips out. And he's like, cool. friends because they had had a whole like just friends situation conversation earlier. The next day, she's on the phone with her brother, and her brother is also like, so what's going on? Like, again, you know where they are, you know where they're staying, and you're not at all worried about your kid sister traveling with this boy. Okay. Sure. He's like, oh, like, how's it going with Drayton? What's going on there? And she's like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Timing's all wrong. And then hangs up, and he's like, yeah, great. Okay. See you later, bud. Calls him Bud. Drayton Bud, as Drayton's there in like a towel. It's really funny to me in particular, okay? Cuts to them going back home. Drayton's kind of avoiding her, and then she like keeps kind of pulling him back in and is talking about how she's working on her solo and how excited she is about it and all this stuff. And then he's like, listen, I don't want to do this. Like, I like you. So are you in or are you out? Because I want to be done about this. And she's like, I'm in. And they kiss, and then they start dating, and he drives her to his house, and they sleep together and all this stuff, and they're now dating and together. I know I threw that at you, but that's also what the movie does. Cue the sequence of them just like dating, her dancing, him playing. He comes up to her during cheer and like kisses her during a game and stuff, and all the girls are like freaking out. That was a cute little scene. And then finally she's over at his house, and she's talking about his tattoos, and she's like, what's this tattoo mean? And he has a tattoo that says Abby. And that is where we learn that when he was a kid, he had a twin sister who just went missing one day. His sister was like kidnapped. They've never found her. They've never found anything about her. And that's just something he has to go through life with. Talk about a hard stop. They try to do it as seamlessly as possible, but then it shows that like this is a lot of his motivation for like how he goes about life, and he finally like snaps over Abby at the end. And so I don't know. I do feel like there was more we could have done here. I don't exactly know what, but I do feel like there was more that could have been done here. Then his dad comes in while they're having this heart-to-heart about his missing, possibly dead sister. And his dad comes in, who's just been an ass the whole movie. And he's like, dinner's ready. Dallas leaves. Drayton says bye. And he's like, do you have a problem with Dallas? To his dad. Do you have a problem with her? And she's like, she's a distraction. The girl you got suspended with? She's a distraction. And his mom, voice of reason, who this is, I think, the most she says this entire movie, is like, your dad is just worried about you. Husband, it's not his name, but that's what in my brain, that's what she's saying. Dallas is his girlfriend. You can at least try and like her. I'm going to invite her to Drayton's birthday next weekend, and I would like us all to try and get along. Next scene, it's the birthday. And this is a very weird birthday where it's like, it's all of his friends there, and like, she brings a meal, her brother comes because it's the coach, and then he's like, I'm gonna go find adults to talk to. But then it cuts to like, from a pool party that they're having to like, them sitting down at the kitchen table with like Drayton, Dallas, Drayton's parents, Josh, Gabby, I want to call her Rebecca, Gabby, and then Tanner, her brother, okay? And like, they're all, like, that's the rest of the party. And then that's where they start like asking about CalArts. And she's like, yeah, it's a really difficult program to get in. And Drayton's like clearly hyping her up. And then he's just kind of like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at other schools. I haven't confirmed, because his dad's like, yeah, she's going to he's going to Waco. He's confirmed. She's like, oh, that's like a big deal. You didn't tell me. And he's like, it's not confirmed yet. Just needs to sign. Yeah, it's not confirmed yet. You know, a lot of back and forth. And he's like, I'm still looking at options, you know, like USC. And he's like, California, I'm not letting you go across the country to chase some girl. He's like, that's not your decision. Like, brings up Abby, starts talking about Abby. You know what I'm talking about. You know that's what I'm talking about. We never talked about this. We never talked about Abby. Whole thing. And understandably, she's like, thank you for having me. I'm gonna go now. Gets up and leaves, and Tanner, her brother, for a second doesn't look like he's going to get up. Okay. But Drayton follows after her, and she's like, we knew this isn't ending. Why would you tell me you're gonna move? All this stuff. And he's like, what do you mean you just decided there's an end date here? It's like, you knew I had an end date. It's like, oh, so since you can see the future, what's gonna happen next? She's like, I think we're done. I think we're breaking up. So these two break up now because it's a rom-com, so they also have to have the breakup moment in there. Then during this breakup, Dallas is just despondent, really. She like just kind of ignores everyone, including Gabby. And then finally, Gabby goes to Dallas's work. She's like, you've been missing cheer practice for the last week. Like, so-and-so wants to kick you off the team. I'm blanking on her name. She's like, I had to pick up more shifts. Like, I'm sorry, whatever. And she's like, cool, you can't just opt out of life. Like, things happen, breakups suck, yes, but like life still happens. happens. And that's where we find out that Gabby didn't get into Princeton, which is her dream school. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, I did try. One of the 18 like phone calls that I called you. And she literally says, I'm sick of your main character syndrome. Fascinating to hear that in a movie like this. Gabby like storms out and Dallas rushes home. And then that's where we see her brother snuggling on the couch with her English teacher. And she's like, oh no, it's okay. You don't have to leave. I can go. And it's like, no, it's fine. And her English teacher is like, Dallas, whatever it is, it's going to be okay. And like tries to do like a reassuring like man hug thing and still leaves. And she's just like, when did that happen? And he's like, you're not the only one that had fun on the away game. All right, sure, why not? Okay. They have this conversation and Dallas is like, why do you, when you want something so much, it just doesn't work out? She's like, I'm not even going to bother applying to CalArts. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to submit my video. Everything's messed up with Drayton. Everything's done with Drayton. Gabby hates me now. That's when we find out that her brother has been saving money for her to go to the CalArts audition and actually go and audition in person, which is something that I feel like he should have told her because again, there's a lot of things here where it's like this, there's another thing that happens later. The thing that happens later, it's like, I don't think you could hide this from someone like this. It just feels like hey, yeah, you're stressing out about a video, but we're actually going to make it so you can go audition in person. But like, that is something that would have been scheduled. You can't just walk in and be like, hello, I am here to audition for CalArts. I think you have to schedule that and plan that. Because then what happens is she literally goes and auditions in person and it's this big thing. It's very long and drawn out. This entire time as well, we're being shown Drayton training like an animal and really focusing on football and also dating other girls, or at least messing around with other girls the same way he was before he dated Dallas. And like Dallas sees him and a couple of things, but they're like just not speaking to each other. And then finally his dad comes into his room, finally have a conversation about, Abby and everything. And he's like, you never even asked me if I liked football or if I wanted to go to Waco. And it's like, I love football, but I don't know if I want to go to Waco. Like, I don't know what I actually want to. I want to look at my options. I want to make my own choices. Oh, also the dad is played by James Van Der Beek, which is very funny to me. I'm sorry. I don't know why. It's very hard to think of him as a dad in my brain. I like playing a dad. I don't know why. Also, he'll always be that one of the scariest, creepiest episodes of Criminal Minds to me. That one episode he was in. Goes to the audition to CalArts. Does the audition. And then one of the people doing, like, proctoring the audition walks up and is like, are you blank so-and-so? Was your mother blank so-and-so? I don't remember her last name. I'm not looking it up. I refuse to. She's like, I was her roommate. Off the record, we would be lucky to have you on campus next year or something like that. Which, side note, I would not take that as a sign that they liked my audition. I would take that as, we'd be lucky to have you on campus next year because you're a ray of light, but your dancing sucks. Like, that's what I would interpret that as. Like, we would be lucky to have you on campus. Not, we would be lucky to have you in our program. It would be cool if you were here. Like, around. You seem talented and pretty and smart. That's nice. But like, CalArts dance program. I would not take that as a good sign, frankly. But she takes that like she's giddy. So she then flies home and goes and confronts Gabby. Why you wouldn't do this first, I don't know. But then she's like, I auditioned for CalArts. I think it went well. And I'm sorry. Like, you're right. I should have been there. I just got up in my head and I've been pushing everyone away. And she's like, oh, it's okay. I got like a really good summer internship at this law firm. I'm going to be a future Supreme Court justice and Princeton is going to rue the day. And Josh and I, everything is great. And like Josh comes up and she's like, yeah, he just like proposed to me. They did the promposal. And she's like, oh, I totally forgot about prom. We would love for you to third wheel us. And then Josh is like, no. And Dallas is like, no, I really think things are done with me and Drayton. I really think it's done. It's like, okay, totally cool. He has not stopped talking about you, which is not the vibe that we have gotten from his bits whatsoever, which I do think would have been an easy scene to add in of like him trying to get information from Gabby about how Dallas is doing. Like, that would have been like kind of like a really goofy, sweet scene, I think, that would have shown just how down bad he still was for her versus the scenes that we got instead of him talking with other girls and things like that. I think it's like one scene or something like that, but still. We don't get a prom scene unless I missed it, okay? But she finds him after school. He's coming out. He's holding a football because of course he is. She's like, I got into CalArts, and she starts kind of doing like the oversharing thing that she did earlier before she was like, I'm in, like that same thing. And he's like, listen, I can't keep doing this. She's like, okay, it's just I'm not used to like, I'm tired of like losing people that I love. And he's like, what are you saying? She was like, I love you. Drayton Leahy. I'm sorry, I hate the name Drayton in this context. It's so goofy. Drayton Leahy, I love you. And so he just drops the football and kisses her. She's like, we'll figure it out, but let's just be together for now, or whatever. Cue another montage, okay, of them packing her up for school and all the stuff because she got into Cal Arts. He's packing as well, okay, but we don't see it, not really. And then she goes to Cal Arts. He drops her off, say goodbye. Goes to Cal Arts. She does like her first session with the ballerinas, it looks like. And then she comes out and someone says, hey, cheer, throws the ball at her. She catches the football. And she's like, that's not my name, quarterback. Runs up to him. And of course, he's wearing a USC sweatshirt. You're looking at the new USC starting quarterback or something like that. She's like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, and ruin the surprise? Side note, I don't think you would be able to hide that. I don't know if you guys went to a high school, okay? I went to a public school, which I'm guessing based off of this, the same thing. We had a big football school, big lacrosse school too. When someone committed, it was like a huge deal. One line, yeah, it's a good thing you don't read the school newspaper because they published about it. Like one line like that, I think I would be less nitpicky about this. That's the end. They're at school together. Yay. There is a second book. I have not read it. I didn't read the first one. But who knows if there is going to be a sequel to Sidelined. I think it depends how well it performs on Tubi. But I do think Tubi is a good platform for this. A Tubi original, things like that. Again, the ads kind of take away from this movie, in my opinion. Overall, the movie is actually fairly sweet. It's fairly good. It's a good teen rom-com movie, I would say. Okay. I just wanted to talk about it because I have seen it from its inception, you know, to coming to now. I saw a very funny TikTok where someone they finished the movie and one of them just goes, oh my God, that was Noah Beck's best work. And someone's like, that's his only work. It's like, yeah, it's still his best. Would I watch this again? Probably not, you know, but am I mad I watched it? No, okay. There was just certain things where I was like, this just feels unrealistic. But again, they were really trying to highlight the Dallas sidelining her feelings for pursuit of her goals with dance. Her brother asks a very good question at the end. He's like, what do you love outside of dance? And she's like, I love you. And he's like, okay, maybe not your only living relative. And she's like, Gabby. And he's like, okay, mom was an talented dancer, yes, but she also had like a life and you don't have a life. And it's kind of like that whole thing where it's like, yes, you want to pursue your passions and your goals, but also you can't forget to live in that, because also living while you are in pursuit of your passions and goals is also how you become a well-rounded person, and it also feeds your work way better. Same with all art, whether it's dance or writing or content creation or painting. You have to live life to feed your artwork, and I did think that that was nice. There was a lot more here that I think definitely could have been fleshed out, you know, but I didn't dislike this movie, and I want to be abundantly clear about that. Did you read the QB Badboy and Me? Did you watch Sidelined, the QB and Me? Are you mad about Bad Boy erasure? Because there wasn't a ton of bad boy in this. I do think I would have been more on board with the bad boy thing if he had just hit her car with a motorcycle. Also, with like the way that his father is, I'm shocked he has a motorcycle. Like, you lost your sister. I feel like you would be totally a control freak about your child's safety and things like that. Anyways, that's going to be it. Reminder, I stream on Twitch, reminder, Swell Entertainment now available on Spotify. Reminder, use code SWELL for 10% off on gamer subs. Shout out to my channel members. If you'd like to join channel memberships, you can go ahead and click join down below. If you'd like to follow me on social media, that'll be all up here. And that's going to have a day. Goodbye. Maybe they just wanted to have a little bit of fun. And then they died. Still one of the best line readings I think I've seen in a while.